Meeting come to order. Please call the roll.
Mayor Manning.
Present.
Councilman Petroselli.
Present.
Councilman McGrady.
Present.
Clerk, please read the minutes from our previous meeting.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move to dispense the minutes of the previous meeting.
I second that.
Second, accepting as is, call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrady.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor. Reports from officers and committees.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have our 5th of 7 year in review presentations. This is the annual results of operations from the Finance Department. Mike McNeff and Amanda Austin from the Finance Department are here. So I will turn it over to Amanda Austin, who will be doing the presentation tonight.
Without further ado.
Turn on some beverages. It's over there.
I want to get away the crowd here.
I'm going to try and talk loudly, so if you can't hear me, let me know. Good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Amanda. I'm the Deputy Director of Finance for the City of Watervliet. And at the end of this presentation, I hope you will have a better understanding of what we do in the Finance Department, our 2018 results, and where we are headed. So who's in the Finance Department? There are 4 of us. I just introduced myself. Michael McNeff, who is our Director of Finance. We have a payroll clerk, or payroll guru, as I like to call her, Amanda DeLapp. And Phyllis Carroll is our purchasing czar, clerk. What are our duties and responsibilities? Per the charter, the Finance Department is responsible for the collection, receipt, and care and custody of taxes and other monies due to the city. We are responsible for investments of the city funds as authorized by general municipal law. And we shall deliver the annual financial report for the prior fiscal year to the mayor and council, also making it available to the public. Financial statements will be prepared and published. They will include the statement of cash receipts of the city for all sources and of all accounts, a statement of disbursements of all funds for all departments and agencies of city government during the fiscal year, and a detailed statement of indebtedness for the city at the close of the fiscal year. So for the Finance Department, I'm going to throw some stats at you because we like numbers. Creation, mailing, and collection of more than 8,000 bills annually. As you know, property owners in the City of Watervliet receive 3 bills regularly from us. Property tax in January, water and sewer in May and November. Each bill cycle takes several days to prepare and mail, and then we collect. We maintain more than 2,700 individual receivable accounts, 1 for each parcel in the city. Payments are received at Pioneer Bank through the mail or online, and then we manually record each one. We process approximately 3,000 invoices. This is a time-consuming process, as audit standards and separation of duty standards must be met. Each invoice hits at least 3 desks, in addition to being approved by the department head and the GM. The first person is our purchasing clerk. I called her the czar earlier. She will scrutinize every single detail on every single invoice that hits her desk, and she will make sure that we are not paying too much and we're getting exactly what we wanted. It then goes to our check processor, who is our payroll clerk. And then it hits my desk, and I make sure that everything is signed and it matches, and then I send it out. We record every transaction in the city's ledgers for well over 20 million in revenues and expenditures, resulting in nearly 12,000 journal entries annually. That 20,000 in revenue is from across all funds, and I will get into talking about funds later. For now, let's talk about journal entries. We're working with software that is a little bit outdated. I say a little bit being nice. The software doesn't actually talk to any of our other departments, like our code enforcement or our clerk or even our payroll department. Software is sometimes not exactly trustworthy in that it often requires that we double check everything for accuracy to ensure that journal entries are recorded. There have been several occasions where I've entered payroll entries, which, as you can imagine, are rather large and timely to enter, and it just, I'll press record and it disappears. So I have to re-enter it. Which brings me nicely to payroll. We are paid bi-weekly in the city, resulting in 26 annual payrolls each year. We have a fantastic, knowledgeable payroll clerk who processes each payroll. She gets her information from timesheets that she then enters manually into the payroll system. And then once payroll is complete, that data comes to the finance, to Mike and myself, and we have to enter the journal entry manually because, again, the software doesn't talk to each other. As far as cash management goes, we have 14 city bank accounts and 5 9-class investment accounts, resulting in approximately, actually over 150 bank accounts or bank reconciliations annually. Our current financial software is unable to provide an outstanding check report, so this is another manual step that we must take, and we do it daily. We oversee and manage over 250 budget line items, and if you have attended any of our budget workshops, you would have seen those individual accounts that I'm talking about. In this presentation, I'm focusing more on the 50,000 foot view, so these lines are grouped together. We provide disbursement reports to the council monthly, as well as budget annual reports. The initial data for these reports is created by the software, which we then have to adjust to show the correct time period and original budget because the software is unable to accommodate. Annually, we assist the GM and department heads with preparing the budget. This, as you know, takes many meetings and several months for a finished product. We prepare and present the prior year data to the council and the public, which is what I'm doing right now. New York State also requires that we file an annual update document. This is a document that New York State uses to calculate our fiscal stress score, which I'm sure we've all heard of at this point. New York State also kind of does a mini audit on that particular document, and then will ask us questions and we provide further analysis for that. We also have an external audit annually. We're in the process of that right now. It's being performed by UHY. And periodically, we are also asked to provide more detailed analysis to the council, state comptroller, the bond council, various rating agencies. Typically, reports provided include budget to actual reports, cash flow projections, multi-year planning analysis, and capital planning. I said I would get back to funds. The finance department is responsible for the maintenance and submission of the city's financials. Those financials are made up of several funds. You will hear a good bit about 3 of them: the general, water, and sewer. These are operating funds and the ones that tonight's presentation are focusing on. I'll explain general in just a minute. Special revenue funds, we have 3 of those: water, sewer, and community development. These account for the proceeds of specific revenue sources that are legally restricted to expenditures for a specific purpose. Meaning, revenues for the water fund can only be used for expenses from the water fund. Capital project funds. These account for financial resources to be used for the acquisition or construction of major capital facilities. The example of this is the renovation that's being done at the community center and library that has its own fund. Debt service. This fund accounts for the accumulation of resources for and the payment of general long-term debt, principal, and interest. And that brings us back to general fund. And I did this last because it accounts for everything else. The actual definition is it accounts for financial resources, all financial resources except those required to be accounted for in another fund. This is where most of our daily expenses are, and every municipality has one. That's what we do. Here are our results. This is 2017 and 2018, and then the change between the 2 years in dollar value, and then the change in percentage. I'm going to touch on the ones with major changes. The first line is real property taxes. You can see that went up $621,000. This should not be a surprise to anyone. We had a large tax increase. That was the result. Real property tax items. These are our pilot programs, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes. In 2018, we had the addition of 1545 Broadway, which is the high-rise. That wasn't there for 2017. Next, we have sales and use tax. This is up $217,000, which is a significant factor. And one of the major reasons we had such a good year for our fund balance, we were not expecting this sales tax to be that high. Other non-property taxes, these are our utility taxes and our franchise taxes, and National Grid and Charter Communications apparently had really good years because they also paid us $20,000 more than we were expecting. Departmental income. This has a few things in it. Increases in recreation, ambulance, and CDBG grant revenues. I also want to note there was a decrease in there, although net it's up $25,000, but there was a decrease due to waste management. We had previously in 2017 and before received revenue from waste management for our recyclables. We are no longer receiving that revenue, and starting in late 2018 we actually had to start paying to get rid of them. Our other local revenues is down $172,000. Again, this has a few factors in it. This is really where our miscellaneous revenues come from. There was a decrease in mortgage tax. When high-rise was sold, we got $60,000 of revenue from mortgage tax for that. So that was obviously not there in 2018. Another factor is we had a lack of crime proceeds in 2018 that we had in 2017. There's some stuff in the pipeline, and I don't know if Chief wants to talk about it, probably not, but you know, we're unable to predict when we're going to get that. It just didn't come in 2018. State aim remains the same, and then we have state and other federal aid. We received a grant in 2018 for the tree inventory. It's already been put to great use. And interfund transfers, you will note, is now 0 in 2018, and this was at the request of the New York State Office of State Comptroller and our external auditors. So we're not showing this revenue anymore. It's just being shown differently in the allocation. It really has a net 0 effect on the entire budget, but it looks kind of drastic sitting here. This just basically goes over what I just said. Onto expenditures. General government services. It's down $35,000, and the reason for that is we had some personnel openings. We had an assessor who had resigned during 2018. That wasn't filled until late 2018. We also had another position, a maintenance mechanic, that was not filled in 2018. Public safety, you'll note that is down $33,000, and this is due mainly to decrease in police overtime from 2017 to 2018. Transportation, that's a big number. It's $220,000, and it's an increase. There's a good reason for that. We increased due to a higher cost of snow removal in 2018, and there were 2 positions that were open in the highway department in 2017, and we were able to fill them in 2018. There was also a higher portion of the transfer that was allocated in this account, lowering the expense in 2017, and we didn't allocate quite as much in 2018, and it therefore reflects what actually happened more accurately. Culture and recreation, that's down $41,000. That can be tied directly to the library. The library used to be part of the city's responsibility to pay for. Now there's a separate tax on the school for the library. Employee fringe, again, this is a large, scary number, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. This is due in part due to health insurance costs rising, but it's also due to a change in allocation in our different funds. It's high here, but you will see decreases in both the water and the sewer fund. Again, this just goes through what I just said. Oh, sorry. We also had interfund transfers that increased $70,000. And these transfers are to our reserve account, which it's increasing due to the expected future expenses for the city. And since I just mentioned reserves, let's go through our reserve balance. As of 12/31/18, we had good reserve balances. Our equipment, repairs, and accrual reserves were all around $220,000. We also had a workers' comp reserve with a small amount in it, and debt reserves with $30,000. You've seen the expenses and the revenues. What does all of that mean? What does it translate to? At the end of the day, we have an increased fund balance of $262,891. As I stated when we were looking at the revenues, this is due mainly to an increase in the sales tax, the utility, and franchise revenue. It also has to do with strict budget management. In 2017, in late 2017, we started to implement an encumbrance system, and as of 2018, it's fully operational, ensuring that each department has money in its budget before spending it. Moving on to our water fund. Home and community services revenue is up $49,000. This increase can be tied to Gilderland. Our contracted rate with them is tied to the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, and as that increases, so does our revenue. Major expense items. We had special items. This is an increase due to upgrades to the dam. Employee benefits and fringes. As I said, you would see a decrease in the water and sewer funds. Here's a decrease of $152,000. This is due, again, to the different allocation of that expense. This results in an increase in the water fund balance of $125,000. Moving on to sewer. Departmental income is up $123,000 from 2017 to 2018. This can be tied directly to the Watervliet Arsenal. They actually owed us an additional payment in 2017 of around $60,000. So that revenue was down $60,000. It came in 2018, which made 2018's revenue up $60,000. So we are at about $120,000 difference there. Expenses. Our other expenses decreased due around $14,000 for a decrease in our liability insurance costs. Home and community, as well as fringes, were just changes in allocation, as I said before. And this resulted in an increase in fund balance of $181,465,000. It actually brings the sewer fund balance positive for the first time in a few years. Bringing it all together, this is just a summary of our major funds. You've got general, water, sewer, and then all major funds. So you've seen all of the numbers. what does it mean? As I state, actually I don't know if I did state this, but I intended to. Our financial statements and this data in this presentation is unaudited currently. We are in the process of an audit. We are not anticipating changes, but you never know, it could happen. Keep that in mind when I tell you we are projecting our fiscal stress score for 2018 to be 50. This would drop us 2 levels from significant to susceptible. And susceptible is achieved with a score between 45 and 54.9. We have actually even 50 projected. Sliding into cash position for 2018, we had an overall daily cash balance in operating funds of approximately $2.5 million and $3.3 million across all funds. With the changes in the market and the increasing interest rates available, the Director of Finance looked into different investment options available to municipalities. In June of 2018, we moved funds over to New York Class and have been earning roughly 2% interest on the funds there. This graph is just showing the NICLAS rate compared to a similar investment with S&P. NICLAS is currently outpacing them just slightly. In 2018, the City of Watervliet refunded or refinanced some old bonds to obtain lower rates. And the current principal balance of all bonds as of 12/31/18 was $6.245 million. You can see you've just seen where we were. Now let's look at where we're going. These are our projections for the general fund for 2019 through 2023. We have an increase in there this year. I know this is hard to read and I apologize about this. Of 5.5%. That's what our increase was this year. We're anticipating going forward a 1, 2, 2, and 3%. So this should be keeping us underneath the tax cap and relatively minimal increases. All other revenues are increased or flat based on historical trend or contracts. As far as expenditures go, they are again based mainly on trends or contracts. I will note one change here. This is the increase this is what we are projecting for general government support. You've heard me now talk about our financial software and complain just a little bit about it. We really, really need new financial software. So we put a projection in there to increase the general government support budget by an additional 2%, which results in less than $20,000 in 2019 and 2020 for new financial software that can accommodate the city needs. Given our expenses and our expenditures and revenues, this is where our fund balance is going. At the end of 2023, we are looking at an estimated fund balance of $1.3 million, which is approximately 10% of our budget, and a rough guideline of where we want our fund balance to be. Any questions?
A lot of information.
Hide anything on this. You didn't hide it.
Try not to.
Mandy, one of the things you mentioned, there's a number of questions, and I didn't want to mark this up, but one of the
We
questions
can absolutely mark it up. I don't want
the public safety overtime was under by how much, 33,000, and you contributed that to the
Police.
the police. So would that mean that the fire was right on target and police was under by 33? Or is that a net difference between the
It
two?
was a net 33.
Okay, so what would that have been?
That's a net 33 from 17 to 18, not 18 budget, but from what was expensed in 17 as compared to what was expensed in 18
Correct.
of final operation.
See, that's what I read somewhere that the fire was, going overtime.
Sorry, I don't have that written in front of me.
It's all right, we can get it.
It's all
That's lumped in.
lumped in.
I realize
Sorry,
it's a net, I just was wondering what the two were originally.
Yeah.
I mean, police could have been $80,000 less than, or
Yes,
or
that
whatever,
is correct.
100,000. But you mentioned, you specifically mentioned it was because of the police, so just was wondering if that was, what numbers were. Can you get them for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
The software, have you, you've been looking at the software for a while, right?
Yes.
Is there a possibility that that could be something from FRB too?
Yeah, there's a very strong possibility that our software systems will be mentioned in the FRB report and a possible award to bring in new software, which would not just be finance software, but full,
Comprehensive.
all-inclusive software, which, you know, from what Amanda was explaining to everybody, they don't talk to each other, so having one software system that does it all provides a much higher level of efficiency. We did do an RFP about a year ago. We received 2 proposals. Those 2 proposals have been what was provided to the FRB, and we're just awaiting a recommendation from them.
I do have a figure for what police salaries and expenses were down 50,000 year over year
So it's 50.
total. Yeah. But and I have a note that says police salaries are up due to overtime as well as workers' comp, and the way we're reporting that expense. We hadn't been giving workers' comp its own line. We had been netting it against revenue that was coming in. So now we're specifically lining out workers' comp as an expense in the fireman.
For each department?
Yes.
For each department?
Yeah.
'Cause that was
But I
once-
don't have what exactly those amounts were equated to.
Good. That'll be some late reading. Thanks, Amanda.
Yep.
I don't have any others right now.
Well done.
When you find that figure out, Rich Rowley send it to me.
Okay. Yep.
One thing that I'd like to point out that was part of Amanda's presentation is on the major fund summary page. It kind of goes through the fund balances for each of the funds. If you look back to 2013 through 2018, it has a 6-year trend on there and kind of shows everything. This is the first time that each fund has ended in a surplus. So all 3 funds ended in a surplus for the first time in 6 years. It's a credit to all of the staff. We spoke about it today in the department head meeting. It's a credit to the department heads for staying on task and staying within their budgets, finding ways to increase their revenues and reduce their expenses throughout the year. Obviously, the finance department and their encumbrance system and what they brought in, and as Amanda pointed out, a very diligent purchasing clerk who really looks at all the finer points of everything, and anytime we go to make a purchase is online looking to see if there's any type of savings that we can acquire on a purchase. So definitely a full team effort, but very proud of the staff that we have and the work that was done on the finances to be able to provide a surplus in all 3 funds. It's a very difficult task to obtain in municipal government, and I'm very excited that we were able to do that, and I hope the taxpayers are happy with the results of the operations that were just presented.
Do you anticipate any change in the controller's score calculation during the last year? And fiscal
They
stress.
just coming back.
Last year they changed it year.
Yeah, so they announced to us early last year that they were making the changes, and they hadn't had them done yet, so when we projected, we didn't have that. They have not mentioned any changes in the fiscal stress reporting of the score, so.
From last year?
From last year to this year. So last year, they made changes to their formula.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that threw us off what we predicted and where we ended.
Right.
This year, they've made they haven't mentioned that any changes are being made to the program. They provide us with a template to work with, and that's where these numbers were plugged in. And so we don't expect them to make any changes based on it. They haven't announced any. So it's a significant decrease in our fiscal stress as well. Again, based on the operations by the departments in finance.
Okay.
That is all that we have in reports for officers and committees tonight, Mayor.
Old business,
We have nothing in old business.
new business.
New business, we have ordinance number 2000. An ordinance of the City of Watervliet providing that Chapter 249, swimming pools of the Code of the City of Watervliet be amended.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this ordinance.
I second that.
Discussion?
Yes, this is an ordinance that amends section 249.5 of chapter 249, which is entitled Swimming Pools. The permit fee for a swimming pool, essentially, this needed to be updated. It had $35. It's originally $50. It was $50 in our fee schedule, but on recommendation of the building department, changing it to 1% of the cost of the project, minimum $50. So this amends and changes the permit fee.
Okay.
Is that new pools or existing pools, liners? The reason I ask is because I'm having a liner put in, and we're removing 10,000 gallons of water, and we're adding 10,000 gallons of water.
It's really only for the construction of the pool.
You don't need a permit.
So if it was a new pool, it would still be, if it was replacing an old pool with a new one, it would still fall into this category, but just replacing a portion of it like a liner does not fall into this category.
But you should do your due diligence and check with the building department.
Should we add expense? Because it becomes an expense, because we're filling the pool up with thousands of gallons of water, and we're getting rid of thousands of gallons of water down the sewer line.
It's a good point.
Let's take it under advisement.
And depending on where you're putting that water, where you live, it could be going down to the Albany County Sewer District to be processed. So,
So we may want to look into that.
interesting point.
We'll take a donation.
Maybe we'll have a trial fee just like everybody else.
Right, check.
I agree with you, Orrin, that you should check with the building department to be sure before making any moves, though.
Okay.
All right. Call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGratty.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor.
Up next, we have ordinance number 2001. An ordinance of the City of Watervliet providing that Chapter 279, fees of the Code of the City of Watervliet be amended.
I'd like to make a motion to move on ordinance number 2001.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, so this is our ordinance, this is an ordinance to amend chapter 279 fees. So this is the fee schedule that was previously enacted and adopted by the council that sets the fees for the City of Watervliet. And as you may recall, there's been previous legislation where there's some fees that were imposed. This updates that, makes some certain changes with respect to increase in fees as recommended by the building department. And as you have reviewed, the changes, the deletions are the language that is stricken, the line going through it, and the additions are what is underlined. That would remain in the chapter in the code.
Good. Call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGratty.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9605, a resolution declaring the City of Watervliet as lead agency for State Environment Quality Review Act purposes and determining that the Watervliet Bike Path Connection project is an unlisted action and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Any discussion?
So at a previous meeting, the council approved for the city to be the lead agency on the bike path project. There was a 30-day comment period, and so letters were sent out to stakeholders in regards to being the lead agency. We received one reply from DEC, and within that reply, DEC did agree with for the council to act as the lead agency on this project. There were no other replies.
Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion? So I'm going to read through. We're going to be, as lead agency, signing that this has little environmental impact. So I'm going to read through the 11 questions we have to answer. The responses are either no impact or small, or moderate to large. So there's only two choices. And at the end you take the average and come up with no impact, which is what this resolution is saying. So the questions are, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No, the bike path is in our plans. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the land? No, we're going to be using a partial piece of the transportation path. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No, it's supposed to improve it. Proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area. This is not in a critical environmental area. Will proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? It will affect the biking because it's enhancing the bike path, but it doesn't have a major impact on the others. And the impact on the bike path is positive. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available conservation or renewable energy programs? That's not applicable. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? No. Public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. It's all above ground. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, or architectural resources? No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources? That includes wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna. The only exception there is we took some trees down, but those trees will be replaced 2 times-ish. So no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Hopefully it improves human health, so no. So if no one disagrees with that, we'll pass the resolution and sign this form. Okay, so call the roll, Scott.
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor?
Councilman McGrady?
In favor.
Mayor Manning?
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9606. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs Scott P. O'Reilly, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that the City of Watervliet will issue requests for proposals for professional planning consulting services for the City of Watervliet update to the Watervliet Comprehensive Plan, and that proposals must be received in the City Clerk's office of the City of Watervliet no later than 2 p.m. on May 10th, 2019.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 9606 as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So previously, the council approved for an update to the comp plan using program income money, stated specifically in there not to exceed $30,000. This is the request for proposals to be advertised for the update.
Good. Call the roll, Scott.
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor?
Councilman McGrady?
In favor.
Mayor Manning?
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9607. Council of the City of Watervliet hereby accepts the proposal from and awards the contract to the Chazen Companies, with an office located at 547 River Street in Troy, New York, in the amount of $50,000 for professional planning consulting services for the City of Watervliet Downtown Revitalization Initiative Study. And further authorizes Mayor Michael P. Manning to execute a contract between the City of Watervliet and the Chazen Companies.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Any discussion?
So at a previous meeting, the council authorized the advertisement for an RFP for this study to be completed and used for the New York State Downtown Revitalization Initiative application. 8 companies received the RFP, only 1 sent in a proposal, that is the Chazen companies. Chazen's proposal is exactly what we were looking for and fell within the budget. So even if we did receive others, Chazen probably still would have been the chosen consultant for this. Chazen met with myself and David Wheatley this afternoon. We spent about 2 hours together talking about the process for this and what it would look like and how things are formed. A lot of public involvement, investor involvement, businesses, stakeholders, and putting together a committee on this as well. This is an extremely exciting project for the city, has a potential to be a transformative project for the city, and if we are successful when we do apply for this money and we do receive it, it could really reduce the burden on the taxpayers by having this economic development study and completion within the city. So we're very excited about this being transformative to the city, and based on the proposal that we received, I recommend this to be approved by the council.
What was the budget for the A&E fees or the consultant fees?
50,000 is what was.
So 50,000 was the number in our budget, and
Yeah.
they bid 50,000.
Exactly 50,000, yes.
And was it negotiable at all?
Um,
You can negotiate that.
You can negotiate it. We would have to remove things from the task list to be able to reduce what it was.
Negotiations say, no, we don't want to reduce anything, it's lower the price. Is there any other reason why you know of that nobody else bid on it?
I haven't spoken to any of the other plan holders for it yet. I do know that some companies did not take the plans because they are extremely busy with this, with plans that are going on now, so they did not have the time to complete this specific project. So that was been talking to one that did not receive the plans.
Okay.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor.
Councilman McGrady?
In favor.
Mayor Manning?
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9608. Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs Scott P. O'Reilly, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held on May 30th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding possible submission of community development block grant applications for 2019.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 9608 as written.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So this is our annual public hearing for the public to be able to express any ideas that they have for any community development block grant applications.
Call the roll, Scott.
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor.
Councilman McGrady?
In favor.
Mayor Manning?
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9609. The Council of the City of Watervliet hereby authorizes and directs Scott P. O'Reilly, City Clerk and Clerk to the Council, to advertise once in the official newspaper of the city that a public hearing will be held on May 30th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the J. Leo O'Brien Senior Citizen Center for the purpose of hearing those persons who wish to be heard regarding the activities and effectiveness of active community development block grant programs.
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we move on this resolution.
I second that.
Partner of the other one.
Yeah, so this
Discussion.
is the second public hearing to review current and past community development and block grant programs that we have that the city has received. This will also act as the Department of Planning and Community Revitalization's year in review for 2018 as well. So that will take place on May the 30th during these public hearings.
Okay. Call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli?
In favor.
Councilman McGrady?
In favor.
Mayor Manning?
In favor.
Next, we have resolution number 9610. Council of the City of Watervliet hereby establishes the City of Watervliet Climate Smart Community Task Force and further appoints the following individuals to the City of Watervliet Climate Smart Community Task Force. Christine Chartrand, Task Force Coordinator and Chairperson. Members Dave Wheatley, Michael Van Patten, Damian Pinto Martin, Mike McGlynn, Tatiana Marang, Danielle Gagner, and Kelly Vadden.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution number 9610 as written.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So the city of Watervliet was one of the first municipalities in New York State to be a certified climate smart community. We are currently in the process of recertifying, and creating a task force is a very important piece to the climate smart program and moving forward. Tomorrow CDERPC will be hosting a climate smart conference and workshop which the city of Watervliet will be attending, and really this just continues to make the city of Watervliet a leader in climate smart and climate action as we move forward.
Call the roll.
Councilman Petroselli.
In favor.
Councilman McGrady.
In favor.
Mayor Manning.
In favor.
Mr. Mayor, to the best of my knowledge, that's all we have in new business.
Thank you. Appropriations and accounting, we got those of that on the front end of the meeting.
I also wanted to say police, fire overtime was also down 20,000 from 2017 to 2018. I did do that math, but
Thank you.
specifically overtime.
So it's a total of 33?
Correct. There were some other increases, step and payroll for each department. But yes, total public safety from 17 to 18 was
Okay.
33.
Great.
That's it, right? Okay, thank you again. Thanks for a good 18, everybody who was involved. Anything before we go to public comment?
I do have a couple announcements to make, just to keep everybody in the loop. Bulk Week, once again, is the week of May 6th, so 6th to the 11th. All the information on Bulk Week is on the city's website. It's your regularly scheduled garbage day. You can put out all bulk items. The list of what is not acceptable is also on the website. And again, we use a imaginary box of 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet of what you put out. If you put out significantly more than that, code enforcement will ticket you for it. And this is for Watervliet residents only, so it's not for people to bring bulk items into the city. Saturday is the breakfast with the Easter Bunny, our annual breakfast with the Easter Bunny, right here at the Senior Center. If you are interested, please contact Christine in the mayor's office. Also want to announce, we confirmed today, Monday, April 29th, DEC will be hosting a meeting here to discuss the tear down and remediation of the former Admiral Cleaners on 19th Street. We have met with them on several occasions, and to complete their remediation and understanding of what is there, they do need to take the building down. Scott, do you remember what time they said? I think it's 2 separate times.
3 to 5.
2 separate blocks, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and then 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So hopefully, if you're interested in that, they set up 2 times so it would accommodate people's work schedules as well. And just to give an idea on some future legislation and some things that we have going on, I do expect at the next meeting that we will have an amendment to the Gomez and Sullivan contract for upgrades at the hydro, based on National Grid's changes and what we need to do there. So that will be presented to the council and then hopefully voted on. And what I feel is some extremely positive news. We have reached an agreement with the fire department union on an extension of the contract. So the MOA will be on the agenda for the next council meeting, again on May the 2nd. Working on updating the non-union employees personnel policy at the same time. It has not been updated in quite a while. So I hope to have that on the agenda as well at the next meeting. As well as next week we'll be receiving bids on 2 programs that the council approved to go out to bid, and so at the next meeting I hope to have those bid recommendations and accepting of those on the agenda as well. Just keeping everybody in the loop for what we're looking forward to in the coming weeks.
About road work.
Yes, that's part of it. The road work is one of those bids.
Question, who owns the property at Admiral Cleaners?
Same owner that it's been for quite a while.
Foreclosed or?
Who still owns it?
Same owner?
The sidewalks are complete at 25th Street.
Yes, yes, they just finished them up today. Section on 6th Ave and all of our property on 25th Street, including ADA compliant curb rail. Yeah, very good.
Do we have a,
Oh, yes. So also the council has approved a change in the meeting dates coming up. So usually in the month of May, we would have met on May 2nd and the 16th, but due to some scheduling conflicts, the second meeting in May will be on May 30th. And I believe that Scott and the council are working on schedule for the summer. We usually have one meeting each month in the summer months, June, July, and August. So we'll be working on that schedule, and hopefully at the next meeting we'll have a complete summer schedule beginning with May 30th.
and just I know you mentioned about the UFFA, we just got that proposal, so we have to kind of suck it up.
Yep, I wanted to get it to you today right away so that you have, 2
We have
weeks
to
to
look
be
at
able
it.
to review it. Yep.
Okay. Do we have a date yet on the FRB?
No,
Nothing
they
yet?
don't, no, they don't really give a date.
The other thing was solar here, and we have a couple places that we have solar. I think it's here, we're at the firehouse.
Here, firehouse,
And
boathouse, and now DPW garage adjacent to it.
do we have anybody looking at that? Is that is it functioning? Is it working? How do you know what it's producing?
Yeah, so they're all connected to
Right.
to the internet, and so we review it regularly. As a matter of fact, I was just reviewing them today as part of the Climate Smart program tomorrow. I'm expecting that would be a question, how much we produce in that, so added that to my notes. But yeah, so all 4 are online, and we can look at those to see what they're producing.
Okay.
We had an issue with this one. It was down based on the internet, so we got it back up and running. We were able to track it, and actually yesterday it went down again. So we got in touch with RGS to update that. But yes, we were able to monitor them in real time.
The other topic was we've had I don't know, it's a whirlwind, but maybe it's a isomer, not specific to a certain spot, but problems with the dogs up at 7th Avenue area there.
Yep.
And you said you had a plan. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, so the chief and I are working on a plan to be able to accommodate an animal control officer based on our needs for it. It's certainly not a full-time position. We haven't been able to solidify that yet, so we're still working on it. So I don't want to make any announcements until we have it certain. I don't know, Chief, if you have any other further on there, if we've moved any further on it, but I believe we're...
Yeah, we offered, I sat down with the president and vice president of PBA to see if we could offer some incentives for one of our existing officers to act as the ACO in conjunction with the normal duties of patrol officers. We packaged some of the incentives together, keeping in mind the budgeted amount, which is $15,000 for the ACO. I think we've got it to the point where the union would promote it to their members, and actually the union president sent out a letter to the membership on Tuesday to gauge interest, and he's currently having those forwarded to me. So I think we'll be pretty successful in garnering somebody. We're going to do it on a trial basis. We're going to attempt to run it from May 1st to December 31st, and then I'll create buckets in our overtime so we can monitor the overtime that's adjudicated for the position and keep tabs with that as it relates to the $15,000 budget for the position. So.
What will happen now in the meantime? I mean, I know it's May 1st. You think that'll happen? What are we doing?
We handle them now anyway. We handle animal control complaints as it is now. The issue that we have is that we've got some, we have an officer on the 4 to 12 shift that may do an animal control call today, and he won't get another one for a year. And if you don't have that repetitiveness, that muscle memory, when you start adjudicating those incidents, we lose a little bit when it gets to court. So we want to make sure that we have that consistency and we have the comprehensiveness consistently throughout the process to make sure that, not only are we handling these, but we're handling to the best of our ability, and when they go to court, we can hold the people accountable for their actions when it comes to their animals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just aware of a few people that said one was attacked, and I think they came right down to the clerk's office, right? So, yeah.
If you see loose roaming dogs, please call the police department when you see them so that they can act and react and be there and be able to hold the owners liable for any issues there. So, and again, we do have all dogs in the city need to be licensed with the clerk's office. So if you do have a dog, please make sure that your dog is licensed. It also helps the police department if your dog gets loose for some reason, finds a way out of the yard, somebody let them out of the yard or gets off of the leash, that we can identify who the owner is and get the dog back to you. Otherwise, as we've talked about previously, the dog goes down to Mohawk Hudson Humane Society, gets impounded, and it's $70 a day that you have to pay in fees on top of what you would have to pay to come in and register the dog as well. So please register your dogs in the clerk's office. That way we can get the dog back to you if for some reason it gets out.
Do we send notices out to the people to come and re-register at certain times?
Yep, the postcards go out from the clerk's office to everybody that has a dog. A lot of times we get people back in to tell us that they no longer have the dog, so we can remove them from the list. But we send out the reminders the month ahead of the due date for it.
The problem is, though, there's really no follow-up on the cards. If you send out the cards and you don't come in, there's nothing you know if they register them or not. So,
and we estimate that only about 20 to 25% of the dogs in the city of Watervliet are licensed.
When you knock on the door, you don't need a doorbell.
Yes.
Walk up the steps, you don't need a doorbell.
okay. And finally, I just want to welcome Nick Rotolo from Troop 78, Air Base, is it, department?
Communication.
Communication. And there was supposed to be a discussion on something that we had a back and forth.
Yeah.
You got to make a report now?
No, not yet.
Thanks.
Paul, did you have something before we go in?
I was just wondering, do you know what the fee is for the to license the dogs?
Yes, I do actually. It's in
was,
the fee schedule.
It was $27 for each one?
It's a flat thing, no matter what car it is?
Yes.
No, the rest of it's down there. So the
$12.50 or $13.50?
If the dog is spayed or neutered, it's $13.50. If not, $23.50.
So it doesn't make a difference if it's a bulldog or a pit bull or, okay.
Unless it's been determined to be
correct.
dangerous.
If it's been determined by the court that it's a dangerous dog.
Okay.
It's this plus this plus this. Yeah. This plus this plus this equals 23.
Correct.
Yes.
No, that's all right.
The fees are right there.
You got to add up the surcharge.
Yeah, you just broke it down.
He just cashed my check.
While he's doing the math, let's go to public comment.
Math is correct.
At this time, the council has authorized the public comment period. If you wish to address the council, you must step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 2 minutes to address the council on any matters you wish. At the end of your comment, the council may reply or choose to reply at a later date, if they so choose.
That's an amazing thing, isn't it?
It really is. Numbers don't lie.
Paul Eubank, 1500 12th Avenue, Watervliet. I have a statement and a question. First, I'd like to thank Chief Spain and his personnel for checking on my property while I was on vacation. Thank you, Chief.
You're very welcome.
Second question, potholes. How are we coming along with them? Are the plants open? I know there's one in West Sand Lake, but it's probably inconvenient. I was wondering whether the plants are open locally or not.
Yeah, so the most local plant is not open yet. Well, we did go to West Sand Lake and came back. The issue that we have in going to West Sand Lake and coming back, especially early in the mornings in April, is by the time we get back, that asphalt has cooled. So it's been making it difficult to get there. It's still another week or two before the local plant opens. but we're working to find ways to be able to get it here without it getting cooler, so hopefully warmer days will help as well.
Understandably, thank you.
In the meantime, we are using cold patch as much as we can, but we all know that only lasts until the next time it rains, so.
Paul Hughes, 108 15th Street. You guys, when you were looking at different streets and the impacts of what's going on, do they do studies to see if the roads are getting worse? Or the road that I'm seeing a lot of problems on is the one where Gussie's is, the 25th or 26th. The tractor trailers are coming up there. There's no place for them to fit through there from 2nd Avenue up to like 6th or 7th Avenue, up by where the Brotherhood is. It's so tight when you're trying to come through there. Is there any way that we could do a study to see if we could remove the tractor trailers and make them come in through Crabapple and back down? They're only going up to that side that's right there at 8th or 9th.
I believe that's been looked at in the past.
If not, is there a way to try to alter the traffic parking right there by Gussie's? Because when you're coming through there, I've come through and there's kids on bikes and trying to run up. I know they're supposed to, you know, get on the sidewalk when they can, but right there you're just going to whack somebody. But, thank you.
I have a question. While he's talking about roads, I was going to actually have an email for you. It'll save you time. Appreciate that, I bet you.
Thanks.
8th Avenue, Port Schuyler.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yes.
8th Avenue is pretty bad. I know Colony has jurisdiction over, rights over some. How do you handle that?
No, that's a conversation between us and Colony to be able to determine how we want to move forward with paving of that road. It's really, the majority of that road is owned by the town of Colony, so we have to work something out with them to be able to pave it. I mean, we could, but it's certainly their street and their liability on there for the most part. As we get closer to the arsenal, it kind of widens a little bit, becomes a little bit more of our property. But up until about 7th Street, they own the majority of the street. So if we're looking towards doing 8th Avenue, that we'd have to work with the town of Colony to get it. Simply a conversation to get started, but we can begin that conversation.
Have you been on it lately?
I've been on it.
They do,
pretty bad.
Colony does do the patching because I see them out the window.
Yes.
And so does Watervliet, so
Yeah.
Shared
do get
service
patched.
eligible?
Pretty much. I mean, and certainly could. It's definitely something to look into, and I can contact the town.
A lot of people use that street because they come up,
Yeah, there's busy.
or to use that avenue because they come up the street and it's a shorter way to out back.
Yeah.
Do they get
Spring Street.
multimodal too? Maybe combine multimodal or something.
I think everybody's eligible for multimodal, so. And chips. They got a lot more chips money than we do. That's for sure.
So who is that? Who's the superintendent? He used to be the head of... the town down the river there. Well, we'll reach out to Colony.
Yep. Reach out.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Close public comment period, and we do have a couple of executive session items. Before we do that, is there anything else? All right. So I'll make a motion to go into executive session for a legal and personnel. Who we need in there?
Everybody up here except for Amanda, I believe.
And our guest,
Yes, I do. And Bill Ryan as well.
Bill Ryan. Okay.
You make a motion, I guess.
We kind of pieced the motion together.
Or I'll make a motion when we move into executive session.
I second that.
Call the roll, Scott.
Mayor Manning?
In favor?
Councilman Petrozelli?
In favor.
Councilman McGratty?
In favor.
We're adjourned to executive session, which is here, so we're going to, we gotta grab someone, we have